Welcome to the question of the day. Today's question is from Kim in Arizona. And Kim asks, when and in what situations should you offer financing? That's a great question. I'm going to give you a quick answer. Every customer, every time, every scenario, you should offer financing. So, financing, benchmark on financing, about 70% of your customers should be financing. But most companies I work with are well below this. And so there's lots of opportunities. And what you want to do is every customer, every time should be offered financing. Financing allows you to get the solution you need at a payment you can afford. I'm going to say that again because this is how we should describe it to our customers. Financing allows you to get the solution you need at a payment you can afford. So financing should really be viewed in two different ways. It should be viewed, one, as every customer, every time, like it's built into your process, because this is a big purchase. Most customers don't have money saved up for this. Very few customers have money saved up for this. So financing allows you to get that solution you need at a payment you can afford. And number two, financing should be viewed as an objection tool. It is a great objection tool. So we talk all the time about how do I overcome this objection? How do I overcome that objection? We want to have that tool that when I get that objection, how do I overcome it? Financing is a great objection tool for I can't afford it. That's a legit objection because most people can't afford it. So you want to have that tool in your tool belt, but use it in those two ways, every customer, every time, but also have it ready as an objection tool. So let's jump into both of those. So the first one, built into your process, every customer, every time. We want all customers to know that we have financing. Not all customers are going to take advantage of it, but we want all customers to know that we have financing. Again, about 70% should be financing. So one way that we do this is there's a question that you should ask when you're exploring with the customer and you're asking lifestyle questions and system questions. You should ask this question and ask it just like this. What monthly payment would you be comfortable with? Just see what they say. Ask that question. I might not lead with that question. That might not be the first question, but as you begin to build rapport, as you get deeper into that exploration stage, ask that question. What monthly payment would you be comfortable with? Don't ask them, are you going to be financing? You'll be paying cash. Don't ask them that. Just assume and ask, what monthly payment would you be comfortable with? So here's a few of the ways customers will answer that question. They could answer that question by just telling you and answering. They would say, hey, we're comfortable at $200 a month. Great. Now you know they're financing and it's going to help you build options, right? You're going to try to build options that are going to fit into the payment that they're comfortable with, right? Answer number two would be they're just going to tell you they're a cash buyer and then stroke their ego a little bit. They're like, that's not going to hurt your sale. You're going to be like, that's awesome. Most of my customers don't plan well enough for that. So like, kudos to you, man. That's awesome. Stroke their ego. Now, you're still going to build finance into the options because we may get to a point in the presentation where it's more than they thought. Or, wow, maybe I did such a good job building value in accessories that they want to purchase more than they originally thought. They want to buy a longer term, more comfortable, more efficient solution. And so now it's outside of what they had saved up. So I still want to build that finance into the options, and they're going to be glad that they know about the finance. And you're going to be glad they know about the financing. Now you may get customers, this is very few, but you'll get a few customers that just adamantly won't answer. No biggie. Don't die on this hill. Don't, at this point in the process, don't like dive in. Like they haven't even like decided they're going to purchase yet. And so I'm not going to die on that hill. But I bet most customers are either going to answer by telling you what they're comfortable with, or they're going to tell you they're a cash buyer. Very few are going to be adamant and not answer the question. But if they do, no biggie. Don't die on that hill. The last way people are going to answer is, this is maybe more of a follow-up. They're going to ask questions about it. They're going to ask about the financing, and that tells you they're probably going to be financing. But what I would do here, if they start asking questions, give high-level answers. Don't get into the weeds. That is a common mistake I see a lot of salespeople make, is we just start getting into the weeds and going through the financing. Like, again, we haven't built value in the solution. I haven't built value in me or the company yet. Like, they haven't even decided to purchase yet. So don't get into the weeds. Give a high level overview of what your financing is. Yeah, we've got some great options for financing. Tell them what those are, but don't get into the weeds. In fact, I would then kick that can down the road. Once I go over it at a high level, I would say, and I tell you what, we can get deeper into that as we start looking at options. That sound fair? And they're going to say, yeah, fair, right? Because now they got a good idea. They know they're probably going to be financing. You know it. And so then you can kick that can down the road. Let's get deeper into that as we look at options. Fair enough? Fair enough. Now, there's a second spot in the process that I'm going to dive into financing as well. And that's going to be towards the end of the explore step, but before I get into my presentation, and that's going to be when I go over price transparency. And there's a very specific way that I go over price transparency, and we can dive into that on a coaching call and how that would apply to your presentation, and we go over this in depth in the objection boot camp. But basically, what you're doing at the price transparency is you're removing sticker shock. Now, this doesn't have to do specifically with financing, but financing works its way in here. So you're going to go over price transparency. You're going to remove sticker shock. And this is going to allow that customer that when you do present, they're going to be able to look at the options more logically, more in a neutral tone. It's going to eliminate that fight or flight, because if we don't do price transparency, and I just slap options down in front of them, that first option, the one's $25,000, that's going to create some anxiety in that customer. And it's going to trigger that fight or flight response. And I'm sure you've seen the customers that want to fight about it. Like, they get mad. 25,000, are you nuts? What's wrong with you? Get out of my house, right? Or more commonly, you're going to see the flight. And you're going to see that in the form of like, well, I need to think about it. Got to talk to my spouse. Maybe I should look at some other companies. I should call my dad. Like, it's going to manifest as objections. Okay. But that's that flight response. So if I'm doing price transparency, I'm eliminating that sticker shock so that when we're looking at those options, that fight or flight isn't happening, because anxiety goes away. And then we can look at those options more logically. But part of that price transparency is going to be you telling the customer that any of the options we look at here from top to bottom are going to be in that $100 to $400 a month. That's going to cover all your options, right? So again, I'm seed planting. We have financing. I'm making the customer feel safe and secure that this is going to be financing that they can afford. So bottom line, through your process, either asking that question up front or the price transparency, or both, bottom line, they're going to know you have financing. And that's what I want. I want them to know you have financing as you get into your presentation. So that's the every customer, every time. Now, the second spot is using it as an objection tool. So this is the tool for the objection, I can't afford this. And the answer is, well, financing allows you to get the solution you need at a payment you can afford. And then you can go over your finance options. This is where you can get into the weeds on the finance options and find the finance option that works best for them. Financing is a wonderful tool because it can stretch in so many different directions without actually changing the price, right? Like, I'm not discounting, I'm not losing money, I'm not losing profit, but I can stretch financing in a lot of different directions. I can do shorter term, I can do longer term, I can do midterm. Like, I can stretch it a lot of different ways to accommodate customers so they can get the solution they need at a payment they can afford. Now, it's not always a blatant, obvious objection. That's not usually the objection they're saying right off the bat of I can't afford it. Sometimes it is. More often, though, the finance objection is a second objection. So you need to anticipate it. So it usually starts out as another objection. So usually it's a price overall, like, man, that's a lot of money. Or it's a price versus a competitor. Like, why are those guys cheaper than you guys? Or it's I think we're going to repair it rather than replace it. And or should we do it now or should we do it later, right? So it's usually one of those objections first. And in the objection boot camp, we go over all those objections. You can overcome those objections. But you need to anticipate once you overcome those objections, a lot of times the customer will follow up with the finance objection as a second objection. So they'll say something like, well, yeah, I mean, I get it. I get why you're more than the other guy, but bottom line, I still can't afford it. Great. Financing. Let's talk about financing. Financing allows you to get the solution you need at a payment you can afford. So it's an objection tool. Now, the other thing I would add into this that you need to be ready when you're going over financing is you need to be familiar with simple interest loans. So everyone gets excited about the 0% options. Customers get excited about it. It's used as a great marketing tool to drive customers. And even on my coaching calls, usually when I'm talking about financing, I'll bet you, I don't know, 9 times out of 10 at least, I'll ask a company what they do for financing. And the first thing they tell me about is like, oh, we got great financing. We got 0% for 18 months, right? Like that's the one they tell me about first. But I'll tell you, you know who doesn't get excited about 0% options? This guy right here, me. I don't get excited about those 0% options. Now, I think they're great. They are great for marketing. They are great for getting people excited. They're great for making the phone ring. But the reality is, in my experience, most people don't qualify for 0% because there's a high tier to even qualify for that 0%. So most customers don't qualify for it. The ones that do qualify for it, a good chunk of them can't afford the higher payments anyway. So great, they qualify, they got good credit, but it's an 18-month payment plan. So that's a pretty high monthly payment. I don't know a lot of people that have flexibility in their budget to make that high of a payment on a furnace and AC or whatever large project we're doing here, sewer or electrical panel or whatever, right? So most can't afford that higher payment. And honestly, from a company standpoint, it costs the company a lot more in finance charges. So when I see companies leading with that 0% and that's what they're using every single time for financing, like it crushes me because you're paying more in finance charges than you need to when you could easily talk about your other finance options. And if a customer wants that 0%, you can flip to it. You're not going to lose a customer over this, but I would lead with the other finance options because it's going to save the company money as well. And most customers are going to go that way anyways. But either way, honestly, I don't care. Like, I don't care if they want the 0%, great, let's do the 0%. If they want a longer term, great, let's do that. So in my experience, though, most customers do take advantage of the longer term financing. Yes, it does have a higher rate, but that doesn't matter because it's a simple interest loan. And that's what you need to be ready to explain to your customers. So be familiar with simple interest loans. A simple interest loan means you can pay early, you can pay extra, and there's no prepayment penalty. So what it does is it gives you a much smaller commitment. So if you were to lose your job, get into a financial struggle, end up in the hospital, something like that, right? And those things happen. You have a smaller commitment. You don't have this super large commitment that you're now on the hook for, and you can't make the payment. And then you fall behind in the payments, and then it just snowballs from there, right? That's how people get into bankruptcy. The smarter solution is take advantage of the longer term financing, has a smaller commitment. There's no prepayment penalty for paying early or paying extra. And so what most customers do is they pay extra. They pay double. They pay triple. They pay it off early. And then that interest rate doesn't take full effect. It doesn't affect you over the whole term of that loan. So you're not paying nearly as much in interest. And then also there's the psychology part of it. If customers are just drawn to smaller payments, right? We're payment shoppers. That's our culture. And so I would lead with the longer term financing, be prepared to explain simple interest loans. Yeah, we also have a 0% option, But most customers are going to go with that longer term. I swear, every single time I've explained simple interest loan in all kinds of different industries, when I explain it, customers like they'll look at each other and they'll go, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense." And then they'll do the long-term financing, right? So, financing, it allows you to get the solution you need at a payment you can afford. That's today's question of the day. If you're enjoying question of the day, follow, share, and give a rating. Question of the day is on major streaming platforms. If you have a question, reach out to me via email. It's going to be listed below in the show description. Let's get your question answered. And if you're a Nexstar member, schedule a call with me and let's address your situation one-on-one. Maybe we could dive into that price transparency. Let's go over that. Let's get it specific, though, to your situation. I'm Coach Chris. We'll see you tomorrow.